Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing session. We are super excited today to have with us Dr. Amanda Andrews, who began working with children more than 15 years ago, teaching in a private child care center and then in a public pre-K program. Currently, she is working as an adjunct faculty member at the Texas Women's University in Denton, where she teaches undergraduate child development courses. Her research interests include educator self-efficacy, the influence of the classroom environment, and the impact of family education on young children, which is something that we can all learn more about. Amanda, we are so excited to have you here with us today. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here with you today. And today we're going to discuss what self-efficacy is and why it's important to the field of education. But first, I do want to give you a little background about myself. I have been teaching for over 15 years, but actually recently my bio has kind of changed. I recently moved to the East Coast from Texas. So I'm still associated with Texas Women's University, but I'm actually now on the East Coast teaching. I am a resource teacher at an elementary school and a reading specialist as well. I'm a master reading teacher. I'm ESOL certified as well. So I'm kind of expanding my experiences and broadening my horizons by, moving out to the East Coast and working with teachers out here. And learning more about the educational system in other states, not just Texas, but now in Virginia as well. So I'm really excited about that because it's going to expand what I'm learning, because I believe that every teacher will tell you that we are perpetual learners. Teachers themselves are perpetual learners. So I'm really enjoying the experiences that I'm getting now out here on the East Coast, and I'm going to be able to compare them with my years of experience within Texas as well. So let's talk a little bit about self-efficacy. Before we go into specifically what self-efficacy is, I wanted to give you a little bit of background of why I decided to really examine this particular topic. So basically in 2018, Child Care Aware did their big survey about schools and children, young children, early childhood age on up. And it found that there are over 1.3 million children under the age of 6 that are in child care or that need care. They either have a single family home where the parent works, or they have a double family home where everybody else works. So they're in need of care. And this is a huge kind of wake-up call to show that childcare is essential. So early education for children is essential. But how do we know what makes childcare good? There are a variety of benchmarks to examine locally, even at the state and national level. But the process of figuring out what's the best as a parent or a guardian can still be a little daunting. So, for example, there's national accreditation, and that has logically implies, that there's a higher quality for the center, and it has been linked to children's success, but things like center administration, so the rules and the regulations, the different types of centers, things like that are also critical to overall quality as well. So it's really necessary for us to continue to look at what influences quality early childhood education. So my purpose was to examine it from a teacher's perspective. What influences teacher self-efficacy based on teacher and center characteristics, to look closer at what could ultimately influence quality. So why self-efficacy? So self-efficacy was posed by Albert Bandura back in the 70s. And basically it is the belief that people can produce desired behaviors or desired actions based on their effort. It influences the choices teachers make, how much effort they put forth within their teaching. It influences their perseverance, their resiliency, and even how stress and emotional toil can affect them and the level of success they achieve. So it has been this reciprocal model has been posed by researchers like Fives and Buell in 2012 that shows that all of these factors have this reciprocity between each other and impact each other. This theory and model has been used in many different fields. So it's been looked at in medical and life-saving fields. So firefighters, first responders, if they have a higher self-efficacy, are they, more likely to have, survivors that they're dealing with, things like that. And it has been demonstrated. So it's been looked at within the sports industry. If athletes believe that they can be successful because of their training regimen, if they believe it, they can achieve it, basically. It's been studied within the teaching realm, just not as deeply as it needs to be studied, and even other industries as well. If you, whether it's larger organizations, your professional development within larger organizations, if you have a higher level of self-efficacy, you're more likely to have or to feel some more success. So higher self-efficacy has been related to higher performance ratings, better resiliency, and then just generally overall success. So in essence, as an educator, basically what I'm saying is, if I believe I will be successful, I will be. If I believe what I do in the classroom matters, it will matter. Okay, so this is ingrained in every one of us, and what I am seeking to do is look more specifically for educators. How can we really support educators, especially in the early childhood realm? That was kind of my focus, but this goes for any educator and administrator. So what does this mean for us? It's similar to the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe it, you can achieve it. What we do know is that improved teacher self-efficacy is correlated to improved mental health of teachers, improved job satisfaction, and improved student performance. So how we view our capabilities is directly related to how we cope with stressful situations, with obligations and challenges to our professional roles sometimes as educators. All right, so let's talk about some practical applications. That's really kind of the background of the why I look at what I wanted to look at and why I study what I study. And in essence, but the big thing is, once I have this background knowledge of why self-efficacy, now I can really look at, okay, so what can I do about it, right? I know self-efficacy is important. Having a higher self-efficacy is important because it's related to my student success. So how can I increase my self-efficacy? Well, what we can do as teachers and even as administrators, because I believe it's important for overall, we can do this within the classroom and then the entire school as a whole. So please remember that this goes for all different levels that you can do. So for basically, if we think about Maslow's theory, hierarchy of needs, we know that one of our first needs is safety, right? Feeling safe, having the tools that we need to be successful and to be safe. So in that kind of same realm, it's incredibly important for norms to be respected within the school, because the teachers then feel safe. We have an understanding and knowing that we have time to plan and to organize and to get ready for school. So we're not nervous about it. We're not anxious about it. If teachers feel secure with what they need to do to attain their educational goals, they're more likely to hit them. So that means being respectful of the time for planning and organization that teachers have. We need to make sure that we respect our own time as well, limit distractions when we are planning and organizing, and make sure that we feel safe with our lessons, because that will in turn give us more confidence and increase our self-efficacy. Another action that we can do is allowing for choice. And this relates to agency, which is our ability to choose. So it increases, our agency increases buy-in as well. So if we allow for choice and we allow for teachers to feel like they are agents of change, they are able to change and have the ability to choose, it increases buy-in. Being told what to do or how to act makes people feel less efficient. So of course it will lower their self-efficacy. They will feel down on themselves. They won't want to participate because they don't have any choice in the matter, right? And just like we do that in the classroom, we allow choice for the students. The same thing goes in our professional realm. Students are in their professional realm in the classroom. We're also in our professional realm in the classroom. And by allowing teachers to have choice and to feel that agency, you are increasing their self-efficacy. Additionally, we want to promote intrinsic motivation. As I mentioned before, just with our students, it's the exact same thing with us. We can increase intrinsic motivation by discussing like a higher purpose, by talking about the why behind what we're doing. So for example, I'm promoting intrinsic motivation currently because I basically described the why behind self-efficacy. Why is it important? Why is it essential that we look back at these young children? Because there's so many kids, particularly in Texas, that need care and that need education as a young child before the age of 6. That is why. So I am more motivated to study this and think about this because I have a higher purpose. I have an understanding of that why. So providing that higher purpose increases your intrinsic motivation. Additionally, giving accurate and authentic feedback can increase intrinsic motivation. If teachers are aware of the standards and what needs to happen in the classroom, but they're also provided with accurate and authentic feedback, they are more likely to buy in, once again, to that information, to help motivate them to do new things or to try new things or to try harder or to step out of their comfort zone. And that comes from an increase in self-efficacy, which helps increase your intrinsic motivation. Also, utilizing questions or problems to be solved can stimulate creative curiosity. And this increases intrinsic motivation. We are much more likely to be motivated to want to solve a problem. We want to help. People are ingrained with this idea that we want to help. So if an administrator comes to some teachers and says, okay, this is our problem. What do you guys think we can do about it? The teachers are going to be more likely to provide solutions that accurately represent who they are, their choices, the school culture as a whole, and it will lead to higher self-efficacy. And they're much more likely to be motivated to answer these questions. I can give an example. In one of my undergrad classes, I'm trying to get them to think out of the box. And so one of the biggest things that we've always dealt with, which I'm sure every university deals with, but Texas Women's University has been dealing with, is parking. Okay, parking is a problem on campus. And so one of my icebreaker activities for my students is talking about this, like allowing them to vent their frustrations, but then giving them the problem, saying, okay, you guys are so upset about this. I am too. Let's figure out how to fix it. And then they break out into small groups and they create solutions to this problem. And this ties back into the entire lesson that I'm doing about creativity and about small group work and some other things. But it's a really fun exercise because they are so intrinsically motivated to fix that problem. And the amount of discussion that I have is multiplied versus just prompting them that parking needs to be fixed on campus and you need to think creatively about it. So the utilization of questions and problem solving also intrinsically motivates individuals too. So talking about school-wide goals, having this open communication about goals and about the why behind it is incredibly important for building intrinsic motivation. And that comes back to the problems. Well, what are some areas of weakness for our school? What do we need to continue to grow within? And that can build buy-in from the teachers and overall self-efficacy throughout the entire campus, school campus. And then the last thing that can also promote intrinsic motivation is modeling. So as an administrator or as a teacher leader or as a coach in my role, a reading specialist, modeling motivation and modeling thinking and modeling this buy-in that we have is important as well. The act of modeling and having that kind of support within the classroom will also develop teacher self-efficacy too and increase it, and thus increase overall student success. Additionally, to increase teacher self-efficacy, we need to allow time for processing, allow time and mistakes, to be honest. For example, engaging in data dialogues can be sometimes daunting. Recently, we've been doing it, especially with the end of the year, right around, here, almost here. We're actually a few weeks out. You guys are in Texas are probably already out. But when we have these data dialogues about testing or any sort of assessment, sometimes it can be daunting, especially for a new teacher, a first-year teacher, or someone who's not, who doesn't feel a very high self-efficacy when it comes to data management and understanding data. So one of the ways that not only do we teach in the classroom, but we work with teachers with data is this gradual release of responsibility, allowing time for them to process, seeing I do, we do, you do type of process. So I'll talk about the data. I'll highlight some things that I notice. Then we'll have this conversation back and forth about what you notice, what I'm noticing, how we can work together. And then eventually I'm going to back off after you've had time to process and time to do these data dialogues. Maybe the second or third time that we meet, I'm going to ask you, okay, before I give my opinion, what do you think? I want you to share first. And that will help them increase their feeling of self-efficacy. This is not like a switch on, off, high, low. I'm not feeling like I can do this, and I'm not feeling like I'm effective. All of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm perfectly effective. No, it's a continual process. And remember, when we feel this idea of self-efficacy, it changes in every context. So I might feel highly self-efficacious when I'm doing like a read aloud, but I might feel a much lower level of self-efficacy when I'm doing one-on-one intervention with a student. So it is not an on-off switch. It's very fluid. So you do have to allow time for processing and for understanding why this is so important. And finally, the biggest thing that we can do to help support teacher self-efficacy, to help promote that idea that, yes, you can do this. As an educator, you can do this. You have control. You are an agent of change within your classroom, and you are able to support your students. You want to continue to learn. We need to continue with professional development and continuing education, but the biggest caveat is we need to learn within a community of practice, meaning we need to be actively engaged in ongoing professional development. So that's not just a sit and get type of thing, but it's engagement in activities is actually correlated with increased self-efficacy. So modeling, time, experience, basically saying practice doesn't make perfect, but practice makes higher self-efficacy. So anytime you're going into you're getting a new curriculum, which we're doing next year, So I'm having to prepare as an educator and as a teacher leader, I'm having to prepare professional development for our teachers for the fall with this new curriculum. I want to ensure that we are practicing it. I'm not just sitting there lecturing to students. We are actively engaging with the curriculum. We are practicing how we build our lesson plans, how it aligns with our scope and sequence. We are actively creating activities and modeling activities. And I'm spending time in the classrooms and providing teachers with those experience and that authentic feedback in order to increase their self-efficacy and increase their understanding that they are agents of change within the classroom, and they can help students, and they can reach students, all students. And so continuing to learn in that community of practice is incredibly essential for teacher self-efficacy as well. So these are just a few ideas of things that you can do to help improve your self-efficacy or the self-efficacy of your teachers and educators that you work with, because it is a very important aspect of learning and growing as an educator in lots of different locations. So it's not just early childhood, it's not just childcare centers, it's elementary schools, middle schools, even at the university level. Any educator in any context would benefit from having their self-efficacy boosted and understanding why it's an important thing for us to believe in ourselves and how important our perceptions are and how they impact our choices within our life. So thank you for listening.
Dr. Andrews, that was amazing. And it's so true. And there's so many things that we can do to build this in our communities and in our school communities, and for administrators to understand, and for teachers to be able to do this with each other, and for families. So this has been amazing. And I really appreciate you being here today. And this is going to be something that is really important, especially when we're talking about being mindful now, and you know, wanting to come to work and wanting to do better, because there's so many things that have changed since COVID. So
truly, and that's what I mean, self-efficacy impacts your perseverance and your resiliency. And we are right now, we are working on students, you know, perseverance and resiliency, but how can you fill a bucket with an empty jar? So we have to work on our own perseverance and resiliency in order to be able to model it for our students as well. So this is something that is not going to go away. And I'm really excited. I'd love to come back and talk to you more when I've experienced more from like the Virginia side versus the Texas side,
yes,
because every state is different. Every, you know, every region is different. And I'm enjoying my own continuing education, and I really look forward to working with other teachers as well to help continue their, you know, their learning too.
Yes, and you need to come on the podcast and talk about it.
For sure, I definitely will. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Andrews. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.